up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome to Live Ask Me Anything number 72. I didn't know if I'd get here, but I got here. Amazing. It's been an incredible day. I'm going to check something real quick because I was just doing the Instagrams, everybody. You probably can't see it on the screen, but this is at the Clovis culture. So I'm just making sure. Yep, cool. Got the video up. People can swipe up. They can join this fancy Facebook Live. They can join right now. So now I'm going to put this thing in quiet mode so nobody bugs me. Okay? Sound good? Sounds good to me. Awesome. What's up, everybody? It's been a crazy day. Where do I start? Well, I got up at like 6 a.m. today so I can bang out some work, do some custom nutrition plans, do all the stuff that I got to do, get the day planned out. And then I did a music video shoot for a upcoming music video called Sunday Fun Day, in which I am the male lead. I have been cast as the male lead. I am also the singer on the track. We're going to record, I think we're recording like 10 tracks and probably 2 music videos, huge production music video in downtown Nashville. I was doing drone shots. I was riding scooters, wearing costumes, a bunch of girls, a bunch of guys. I was with some dude that's in the new Jumanji movie. That was awesome. I was with the dude who built my scooter is the dude who built the Millennium Falcon. What? Not even kidding. This guy's worked with Spielberg. He's worked on all the Batman movies. It was freaking crazy, everybody. It's been a really crazy day. It was amazing. So I just came from that music video shoot. They were kind enough to give me a hard out at 7 p.m. so I could get here and do this for you guys at 8 p.m. The Live Ask Me Anything. I have had a tremendous amount of coffee. I have worked a lot today. It was super hot. I got rained on. It was crazy. We shot after shot after shot after shot. There was a lot of downtime too. It was just one of those crazy days. But anyway, it was awesome. Such is life, everybody. Life is a beautiful thing. We don't just do one thing in life. At least we shouldn't. I want to do all the things all the time. And that's what I try to do with my life. Let's move on. How's everybody doing? What's up, Jackie? What's up, Kelsey? What's up, Jennifer? What's up, Jessica? What's up, Diane? Judy? Hey, Minions. I love the Minions. Travis? What's up, dude? Catherine? Eric? What's up, man? How you doing? Shannon? Hey, Shannon. How you doing? Welcome, guys. So this is AMA number 72. And some really, really good questions came in. Thank you very much, particularly on a day like today when I've been at this music video shoot since 10:30 a.m. It was a long, long day. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare. And then throughout the day, I was checking my phone. Some cool questions came in, wrote the questions down in Evernote so I can read you these questions. I can answer them, and I'm super excited about them. I really like these where I just get to bing, 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 spit stuff out at you off the top of my head. That kind of stuff is more fun for me. I don't know why, but I have been thinking about a few presentation episodes that I would like to do in the future. That said, a little bit of housekeeping. June is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So I had the video shoot today. I'm shooting all day tomorrow. Next week will be just fine. Wednesday is open. Wow, incredible. Actually, I just lied to you. I have a gig on Wednesday. Whoa. I literally just broke my own brain. Welcome to live video, everybody. I'm pretty sure I have a gig next week, which means I wouldn't be able to do okay. I'm pretty sure I have a gig during AMA next week. This is how it goes. So I have a gig next week. Yeah, I definitely do. I know that I do now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, really sorry, guys. Brain broken. I have a gig next week. And the week after that is my birthday. June 19th is a Wednesday. It is my birthday. I will be on a pontoon and drinking a whole lot of White Claw. So particularly White Claw, Casey Todd told me about this originally. Casey's a member in the Clovis Academy, about these new White Claws that are just pure, 0 carb, 0 sugar. It's literally just like vodka and seltzer water. Now that I know those exist, I'm in trouble. So that's what's going to happen on my 33rd birthday on the pontoon on Wednesday. And then the following Wednesday, I will be in Croatia. So guys, my Wednesdays are getting blown up. I got to figure out what to do here. I mean, today I was able to pull off, literally have a little bit of a headache right now thinking about that gig next week that I completely forgot about. I had 2 gigs that I completely forgot about. I think one is the 12th, which is next week, and then one is the 15th. Yeah, anyway, lots of stuff going on, guys. Lots of stuff. Crazy. Jackie, can hear the coffee in your voice. Yeah, crappy cold brew too, just like, Starbucks store-bought cold brew stuff. What's up, John? How you doing, man? Hey, Laura. What's up, Laura? Oh, 2 Lauras. Hey, what's up, Laura? Joanna, what's up? All right, let's see here. Let's dive into some AMAs. First, click the happy buttons, click the love buttons, click the like buttons, click the share button. Please share this on your page. That would be awesome. For some reason, when I'm live on my computer, it doesn't let me click the share button, which is really annoying. But click the share button, share this on your page. It'll go public. That'd be great. If you got a friend that you want to watch, just tag them, hit the @ symbol, type in their name, tag them. Anybody can view this video because we are live on the Clovis Culture page, which means anybody and everybody can see this because the page is public, and that is awesome, right? So we want as many people to see this as possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the happy faces and the mad face. Somebody did a mad face. Who did that? I could take you, I promise. All right, I love this. Let's go. Let's dive in. So question number one. Also, throughout this, feel free to ask questions. What I'm going to start doing is just when I'm going to read the question, talk a little bit. As you guys have questions, pop them in here. I'll answer your questions. Give me new questions. Whatever you want to do. Free-flowing conversation. Let's do the thing. Question number one. This is a good one for me because one of these is in my house. The question is, how accurate is the body fat percentage on a I don't even know how to say this brand name. RENPHO. I don't know how to actually say it. I'm going to say Renpho. How accurate is the body fat percentage on a Renpho scale? Which one do you recommend? So I have no idea. There's one in the bathroom behind me that my little sister bought. And what I decided to do was, it was perfect timing when she bought it because bioimpedance scales are notoriously inaccurate. The strange thing is my bioimpedance scale, well, my sister's that's in the house, tends to read body fat actually high, which is different than most bioimpedance. A lot of times bioimpedance scales will read body fat percentage low, and then people go get a really good scan, like a DEXA scan or a bod pod or something, and then they're super disappointed because their body fat's higher than they thought. There's also the bioimpedance scales, like my Renpho, has an athletic switch. You can toggle athlete on and off. If you're under, say, if you're a man, if you're under, say, like 14% body fat, you'll probably want to toggle on the athletic switch. And if you're a female, probably, I don't know, maybe anywhere all the way up to like maybe 18 to 17% body fat, you'll want to put that athletic switch on. But for most people, we know the state of America. I rant about it all the time. Most people aren't going to turn that athletic switch on, but that does change the thing a little bit. Also with bioelectrical impedance scales, there's a kind of this counterbalance where if you are very, very hydrated, it will tend to read your body fat percentage a little low. And if you are very dehydrated, say first thing in the morning, it might read your body fat a little bit high. So it's tricky. And the other tricky thing here is it's going to differ from scale to scale to scale. Literally every bioimpedance scale that is manufactured is going to be different than another one. If you stood on two, one after another, you'd probably get a different body fat reading. So are they accurate? Yeah, I guess to an extent. There is a margin of error, but does that matter? So here's the thing. The way that I did it was my sister bought the scale, and then I did the mass gains protocol. When I did my mass gains protocol, I had 2 readings 6 weeks apart. First day was a DEXA scan, a bod pod scan and 3D imaging. Bod pod is one of the gold standards for testing, and I went to a facility downtown. That's all they do is these big fancy bod pod tests, cost about $50. So I did that and did it within 30 minutes of the Renpho scale. So it was in the morning, completely fasted for, I was fasted for about 12 hours and no water for 3 hours prior to the test. So that's very important. Don't drink water prior to a really fancy test, right? So I didn't drink water and I tested them side by side. Now the bod pod read me at 10% body fat and the Renpho read me at 12.2, I believe, body fat percentage. So it's just off by 2.2%. That's not a big deal, everybody. The weight was spot on, so that's a good thing. The body weight was identical on both tests. I just know that the body fat percentage was 2.2% higher on the Renpho scale. So it wasn't perfectly accurate, but it was quite accurate, really, when you think about it. So the most important thing here is that you are consistent and you remove as many variables as possible when tracking body composition. And this goes for body weight as well. So this is where a lot of women go wrong. A lot of women go wrong. I tried to tell you guys this, that when I was doing mass gains, I had one day just to test where from morning to night, my body weight shifted by 11 pounds. I work with professional fighters and I regularly, the last fight, Peter called me on a Saturday night and said, I need to cut 17 pounds by Thursday. Okay, boom, we cut 17 pounds off her by Thursday and got her down to 115 pounds and like 0% body fat. You can do these things, but it's going to mess up your brain, right? This is super self-sabotage for women. If you weigh yourself, you wake up in the morning, here's what you want to do. Wake up in the morning, go pee, don't drink any water, weigh yourself. If you insist on weighing yourself every day or once every 30 days, whatever, the next time you do this, wake up in the morning, go pee, don't drink any water, and weigh yourself. If I really take it further, I would prefer that you haven't eaten for the same period of time on both weigh-ins. If you stop eating at 6 p.m. on a Sunday, weigh yourself Monday morning at 7 a.m., the next time you weigh yourself, I'd like to see you with a 13-hour intermittent fast and wake up, go pee, and don't drink water. You see what I mean? This is really what makes this accurate. It doesn't necessarily matter that the scale is pinpoint accurate. It matters that you're removing variables as you measure. So if you wake up on Monday morning, 13 hours fasted, go pee, drink water, weigh yourself, and then on Friday, you went out with your girls the night before and drank a bunch of wine and cheese platters, and then you only fasted for 6 hours, and you woke up and you went pee, and then you had some eggs and took the dog for a walk, and then you got back and weighed yourself and you're 8 pounds heavier, like that's not an accurate reading. That's just not accurate, right? This is not the way you would want to do this to actually get quantifiable results. It's very, very important that you remove the variables. Worry less about the scale being pinpoint accurate and worry more about your measuring practices being accurate. Does that make sense? So I hope that answers your question, but yeah, there's no way for me to tell you how accurate a REMPO scale is unless you're going to be a total nerd like me and measure this thing against a really fancy test, like literally inside of 30 minutes, all variables the same. And so I knew exactly what I was dealing with that REMPO scale. I knew exactly how far off it was. And I am meticulous about when I weigh myself and the amount of time fasted, hydration levels, did I go pee, all that stuff, right? It's super, super important. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But that's the rundown on scales, body weight, and body composition, particularly with these bioimpedance scales, where there's just really no way for me to tell you how accurate they are. But a lot of people swear by these bioimpedance scales, particularly the CrossFit community, where you'll find CrossFit gyms that have like in-body scales. In-body scales are much more expensive. I think they're like $5,000, right? You don't want to put that thing in your house. They're supposed to be pretty accurate and they give you a great readout, and that's all bioimpedance, like bioelectrical impedance or whatever they call it. So yeah, no way for me to tell you how accurate they are, but in my experience, this RENPO scale that I have in my house is pretty fantastic. You're going to get really great results if you measure yourself on that thing and you're consistent with your measuring practices. Make sense? John, just finished a great workout and having some white rice. I feel like I'm committing some kind of nutritional sin. Yes, you are committing a nutritional sin. You're just not committing a biohacking sin. Those are two very different things, my brother. So I know you. I know how you train. I got no problem with it. That's awesome. Everyone else in I Am Clovis, if you're looking at this right now saying, what, I can eat white rice? First, you should probably go watch videos of John training and decide if you really think you can eat white rice like John can. Details matter, right? John's like, damn it, dude, why'd you put me on the spot like that? Don't put me on the spot. Oh, guys, I just realized I wasn't even recording the podcast. Dang it. Oops. All right, I can pull the audio from Facebook. This is what happens when I'm tired and over-caffeinated and run all this stuff by myself. These things happen. Facebook Live. Ask me anything. All right. Next question. What do we got here? In Justin I Trust. Hashtag in Justin I Trust. That's creepy. No, it's awesome, dude. Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot. All right. This is a good one. Let's see. I got a few here. Okay. Does it make a difference if you eat pretty much the same thing every day versus having a lot of diversity in your meals? This is assuming everything is still within the approved foods list, of course. Within the approved foods list. Thanks for throwing that in. But the truth is, nope, this doesn't matter at all, not even a little bit. I think there is a lot of nonsense about this going around the internet right now. Why? Because of the almighty gut microbiome, right? This gut microbiome thing. So the gut microbiome is absolutely important. Your bacteria is super important. There's some signs that point to bacteria playing a role in basically everything that happens in the human body. But, and I want to be clear about this, I've told you this many, many times in AMAs, we have no idea what the gut microbiome is doing. We have no idea, like not even a little bit. Like the way we think it's crazy that doctors used to smoke cigarettes with patients in the doctor's office, right? They used to literally smoke while seeing patients. That's crazy. That's how much we know about the gut microbiome. Probably less than that, actually, because the tobacco industry actually knew that cigarettes were bad while they were promoting that. They were just lying. We don't know much about the gut microbiome. By much, I mean like literally next to nothing, okay? So what has happened here is influencers, nutritionists, all this stuff have run away with this idea that you must eat all the colors of the rainbow. That's really what they tell you. It's like fruits and vegetables all day long. Eat all the colors of the rainbow. And I think this gets a lot of people in a lot of trouble. Why? Because it's this blanket statement that all vegetables are good. If you want to eat all the colors of the rainbow with fruits and vegetables, good luck. You're going to be eating nightshades. You're going to be eating super high fructose fruits. You're going to be eating vegetables that are loaded with oxalates and phytates and lectins and all these other things. As we know, there are tons of plant toxins in vegetables. Not all vegetables are awesome for us. But what I found because of the gut microbiome is people come to me and they say these things like, I need to eat all the colors of the rainbow. I need an immense amount of diversity in my gut microbiome. I need this, my that. I'm like, whoever told you that is not being honest because they don't actually know how the gut microbiome works. Nobody does, okay? This is where I feel like the content you're getting here is actually a little more beneficial to you because I'm just honest about the fact that I don't know shit about the gut microbiome, right? Most people don't know anything about the gut microbiome. And they're wearing their hat, like they're hanging their hat on this thing. Like, this is my particular fancy probiotic. This is the probiotic. This is the thing. This is the gut microbiome protocol. This is that. This is that. And again, it becomes this blanket statement. Many of you are dealing with significant gut issues. You do not need more vegetables, okay? You don't. If you're having significant gut issues, IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, all these things, just pumping more and more fruits and vegetables into your face is not going to help you. I assure you, it's probably going to make things quite a bit worse before they get better, if I had to guess, okay? So I've been very vocal about this in my own life. I eat the exact same foods every single day. I mean, for years now, my grocery list has not changed even a little bit. I get in and out of the grocery store inside of 5 minutes. And the thing is, I used to get upset and get a little bit obsessed about this diversity thing. I'm like, man, I wish that Kroger carried more organic frozen vegetables so I could get more diversity. And I thought I needed this and I would drive myself nuts. But the truth is, when I consistently eat the same freaking foods, like literally the same 5 foods every day, forever, as consistently as possible with as little change or diversity as possible, I do great. I walk around year round at 10 to 13% body fat. On my worst day, I'm 13% body fat. My blood work is all epically good. I have zero inflammation. My energy levels are great. I perform well in the gym and I eat the same freaking foods day in and day out. That's what I do. Do I think that that's the perfect thing for everybody? No, probably not. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Everybody's different, right? But I'm at least being honest about the fact that we don't really know about this diversity thing and if it makes a huge difference. We now know that people doing things like the carnivore diet, that the gut microbiome digests things like beta-hydroxybutyrate in a specific way where it almost acts like a prebiotic. So now you have ketones that are almost acting like prebiotics. Like, wait, what? It's just getting very, very interesting, right? We don't know, guys. 10 years from now, I could probably give you a much clearer answer on the gut microbiome thing, but just so you know, when any of these influencers are telling you more diversity, more diversity, more diversity, switch it up, they're usually talking about the gut microbiome, or they're just a personal trainer that's like, your body needs variety because it will get used to your diet and then you'll stop getting results, which is the dumbest shit I've ever heard, right? And all that does is teach you that the person you're dealing with knows nothing about biochemistry, okay? Because the biochemistry in your body is not going to magically change because it gets used to the food. You're like, oh, eggs and bacon again? I guess I should secrete less insulin and not, you know what I mean? It's just, what are we talking about here? It's just gonna stop? I'm just not gonna do the normal processes of digesting food because we had this food yesterday. No, that's crazy, everybody. Think about that for a second. Biochemistry is biochemistry. Your individual biochemistry is your individual biochemistry. Yes, we can change it when you become more insulin sensitive and we lower your blood glucose levels and your fasting insulin and all these things. Yes, those things will change over time, but you're still eating a food that needs to be handled by the body. The body just goes, okay, here's this food. Let's handle it. It doesn't go, pretty sure we had this yesterday, John. Pretty sure we had this yesterday. And you know what? I'm going on strike. I'm not digesting this grass-fed beef anymore. I'm tired of this, dude. I need some variety. Like, no, it's crazy. And what I have found with humans is the less variety we give them in the diet, the better they do with their diet. So for instance, if I told you like you have to eat at least 8 different fruits and vegetables every single day, you need diversity. You need to do that along with your grass-fed beef and your pasture-raised eggs and your paleo powder and this and this and this, right? And I make this whole plan for you. The odds of you having long-term success with that are far lower than if I literally just said, you can eat these 5 foods. That's it. Sure, in the beginning, are you going to have cravings for other things? Yes, particularly if you were a sugar burner before you came to me, right? You're going to get cravings. You're going to want other things. You might get a little bit bored. But in terms of if you were to just follow one single dietary approach, if we just said that, here are the foods that I think are perfect for you, just eat them, you're going to have success, period. Right? And the thing is, the more that you do that, let's say you consistently eat the same 5 foods for 5 or 6 days and just crush your results, knock it out of the park, then if you do have some freaking dark chocolate or some whatever else that's approved, or some avocados or whatever that you eat on the weekend, or even if you have some sweet potato chips at a cookout, sweet potato chips dipped in guacamole or whatever, you're still eating like technically approved foods, right? You're going to have far less problems with those, actually. So the more time you spend, it's like people talk about the 80-20 rule. You can cheat 20% of the time. I hate that rule. I think it's really stupid, right? I think that my diet is perfect 80% of the time. And the other 20% of the time, I might cheat, which just means I'm eating more Clovis foods. Like I'm going to have some sweet potatoes cooked in coconut oil, dipped in guacamole, and some paleo bread that my dad made. That's 100% paleo. Like that's my cheat. You know what I mean? Like the 20% of the time for me is just not perfect. The rest of the time, I eat the same foods. Simplicity. It's the same thing you hear Steve Jobs talk about, wearing the same black t-shirt day in and day out and day out, day in, day out. So no decision fatigue, right? I don't have to think about it. If you come to my house, now this kind of gets me crazy with the approved foods list too. My approved foods list has over 100 food items. People talk to me about condiments and all this stuff. It's like I added that stuff for people that didn't want to comply because everyone was crying and saying that there needed to be more variety in the food list. I'm just transparent with you guys, okay? My food list was perfect and a bunch of people whined about it. And I had to decide how to get people to comply with this thing. Now there's a foods list with over 100 different foods, and there are convenience foods like Annie's Organic Ketchup and Primal Kitchen, and like foods that I love, like Paleo Valley beef sticks and dark chocolate and all these things I had to add in. The truth is, if you come to my house on a given day and ransack my entire kitchen and look through things, you're going to find meat and vegetables and paleo powder. That's what you're going to find. On a crazy day, you might find a bar of 85% dark chocolate and some Paleo Valley beef sticks. That's as crazy as it's going to get in my house. That's as crazy as it's going to get. It's going to be a meat freezer, just full of meat, and there's going to be leafy green vegetables in there that are organic and frozen. Then there's going to be literally 4 dozen pasture-raised eggs because I'll crush 8 or 9 eggs in a day, right? There's probably some bone broth in the fridge that I made by myself and some bones that I eat. And then there's some paleo powder. That's it. It's just, yeah. So long story short, no, you don't need this crazy variety thing. I think it's nuts. And I think that people peg it on the gut microbiome piece. And I just don't think I don't really think that that's honest at this point. You know, I think a lot of people aren't being honest about what we know and what we don't know. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's the gut microbiome has become a marketing term, like keto has become a marketing term, like paleo was a marketing term that was beaten to death and ruined by people who don't understand paleo. And the same way carnivore is right now, or Whole30 or anything else, is people grab these terms and run with them. So the gut microbiome has become all about diversity, just diversity, diversity, diversity. And it's just, I don't know. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Gian, it makes meal prep so much easier. Change veggies seasonally to keep costs down too. That's a great idea. Yeah, particularly if you're getting if you're buying local, even better. But yeah, that's true. If you just stick with like local veggies. And the thing is, local veggies, there's this weird thing that has happened that I've noticed. This is kind of a different rabbit hole, but anyone who has ever written to me, ever as a client, it's like, hey, I garden. They always followed up with, I garden, and nothing that I garden is on your approved foods list. It's like I'm doing tomatoes and eggplants and squash and cucumbers and blah, blah. And it's just lectins. It's all vegetables. For some reason, like everyone's garden these days is just loaded with lectins. It's literally like summer squash and eggplant and okra and again, cucumbers. And I don't know why that is. I've never gardened, so I don't really know. Maybe somebody can tell me, but that's what it appears to be. It's just like, yeah. So in terms of seasonal, just go to a farmer's market and just do the best you can with the approved foods list, you know? What else we got? Jan, and I feel like it can help you figure out if your hunger is actually hunger or emotional. yeah, I would argue that the vast majority of hunger is probably emotional. Now, in the beginning, that's not true because your leptin and ghrelin levels are just totally hijacked, particularly if you're fruit eating sugar burner, right? Your hormone levels are just jacked, right? So you probably actually are hungry, like experiencing like rumbling in the stomach and actual pain from being hungry and all that. That totally happens when your hormones are jacked. Me, I'm very, very rarely hungry. If I'm really hungry, like stomach gurgling, like I'm really hungry, then in my mind, I've messed up. I've done something wrong. What I mean by that is if I'm that hungry, then it means I've probably kept a caloric deficit for too many days in a row, and maybe my training was higher than usual. So maybe I've done a lot of lifting or jujitsu or something like that, and I'm very hungry. Then I know, okay, like, dude, I need to go slam a feast because my body is really telling me something. I am very aware if I'm super hungry, that is real hunger. It's absolutely real hunger. It's not hunger out of boredom or hunger because I'm sad or something like that, which is what I really think most Americans are dealing with, is their brain tricking them into thinking that they're hungry when they're really just bored or eating out of sheer habit, if that makes sense. So yeah, anyway, what's up, Annika? Welcome. What else we got? Shannon, those veggies are the easiest to grow. Gotcha. We should stop growing them. Probably should. What else we got? Mike, I just read the questions as we go, man. That's it. Judy, I am never hungry. Excellent. Fantastic. That's great. Probably wasn't true when you got to me, if I had to guess, right? Because everyone in the mainstream tells you got to eat every 2 to 3 hours or your metabolism will slow down. It's hilarious to me. Hilarious. All right. Up next, what do we got here? Again, if you have any other questions, toss them in here, and I'm glad to answer them because I want you to ask me live questions too. That's a lot of fun. Guys, I'm crashing. My coffee's wearing off. I can feel it. This light in my eyeballs is I'm quite tired. I'm excited for the sauna and this beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing that we do called sleep. Friggin' awesome, everybody. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it so hard. All right, moving on. Why, even though we supplement our vitamin D, the levels never go up or they increase very little? I love this question. When this came through, I said, I have to answer this. It was asked on Facebook, and I said, this is an exciting topic because the issue here is simply bioavailability. This is also a fantastic way for me to teach you that supplements aren't the same as whole foods. They just aren't. They're never going to be. This is why I created a product called the Perfect Paleo Powder, where I literally just blended up whole foods and freeze dried them into a powder. Didn't try to synthesize these things. I took the whole foods, freeze dried them, and blended them into a fine powder, right? That's what I was trying to do because whole foods are always going to crush supplements, particularly these fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, right? It's very important that you get the majority of your fat-soluble vitamins from food. Or in the case of vitamin D, we can synthesize vitamin D in the body through direct sunlight on the skin, not sunlight with sunscreen, everybody. Like if you got 15 minutes a day, so the person that asked this question, if you got 15 minutes a day of direct sunlight with no sunscreen for the past, they told me the question was a little longer. They said they've been supplementing for a very long time. If you've been getting 15 minutes a day of direct sunlight on your skin with no sunscreen every day for that, let's say 15 minutes a day for that same period of time, your vitamin D levels would be higher. They'd be where they need to be for sure. They absolutely would be. Now, this also goes to brand. If you walk into your local Walmart and grab any old vitamin D off the shelf, your numbers aren't going to change at all. They're just not. You got to be very, very selective of the brands that you use. When I put people on vitamin D, I often have them use Thorne, which is vitamin D3 plus K2. That's another issue is a lot of people supplement vitamin D. They don't specifically supplement vitamin D3. You definitely want to get vitamin D3 if you're supplementing. And I like that Thorne combines the vitamin D3 with the K2. And on top of that, you still can't guarantee that your numbers are going to go up. Why? Because of metabolic dysfunction. So if you have metabolic dysfunction at play, there's no guarantee that the nutrients you put into your mouth are going to make it into your bloodstream, or particularly your serum blood levels for something like a vitamin D test, right? So you could be chewing on gel capsules full of vitamin D till the cows come home, and if you have metabolic dysfunction, you can't absorb those nutrients. Let's say something like leaky gut or any other problems that you have, just there could be any number of metabolic dysfunction going on. you're not going to get those levels up. So the other thing I suggest here is, instead of supplementing like that, what I would do is I would take vitamin D from food sources. What food sources are we talking about? You guessed it. Animal products. We're talking egg yolks. We're talking liver. We're talking salmon. I always talk about organ meats, right? Organ meats are just through the roof in micronutrients. Nature's perfect micronutrient, nature's perfect multivitamin, right? Hands down, the most bioavailable source of vitamins comes from animal proteins. That's it. Organ meats, red meat, whatever. And vitamin D is no exception. So things like, again, egg yolks, liver, salmon, wild-caught salmon, of course. You can get things like vitamin D in decent doses, right? So if you're eating those things regularly, you're probably not going to have this problem anymore. So it's really an issue of bioavailability. It's just, you can supplement vitamin D all day, but it doesn't mean your numbers are going to go up. So for this particular person in question, I would probably venture that it could be a combination of many things: a poor brand of vitamin D, metabolic dysfunction, lack of vitamin D in the diet. And again, like we talk about, getting it from animal proteins. And again, on top of that, direct sunlight on the skin. You want to get direct sunlight on the skin. I make sure that this happens every morning. I'm quite lucky because the front of my house is directly facing east. So in the morning, if I get up at 7 a.m. and I mix up 16 ounces of water, my 3 grams of sodium, which is technically 5 grams of Redmond sea salt. So go in the kitchen, mix up some salt water, sit on my front porch with no shirt on, in shorts, and I just get hit with sun. I do this in the wintertime as well. That's just my little trick. So I'll sit out there in the wintertime. I might only be out there for 5 minutes because it's cold as hell, right? But I'm still going to do this. I want to get that sun on my skin. Super, super important. So if I were you, I would stop putting so much focus on the vitamin D supplementation, and I would get vitamin D naturally through animal products and the sun. That's what I would do if I were you, right? What do we got here? Ginger, honestly, I have not been hungry since I started Clovis. Mike Seagrow, how about good belly shots? Whatever. I'm so over store-bought anything. I'm over store-bought kombucha. I'm over store-bought good belly shots. I'm over store-bought everything that costs fucking $5 and claims that it fixes your health. Seriously, it's crazy. Here's 2 ounces. Here's 2 ounces with some ginger and some turmeric and probably some kombucha or something. We don't really know. It's just like some liquid, and there's probably a couple CFUs of some stuff in there. Maybe it's probiotics. We think so. It's $5. Give it a shot. Good belly. Okay, cool. I get it. Like, yeah, you took sauerkraut and dumped it into a little jar for $5 an ounce. Like, I don't know, everybody. And stuff's getting crazy out there. There's marketing stuff. It's like, and pretty much anytime somebody comes to me like, how do you feel about XYZ supplement? I'm like, okay. And I get it. Like, I own a supplement company. I totally understand, but I'm always just transparent with you guys. What do we got here? John. Yeah, Judy. At first hungry the whole day. Yes. And now not hungry at all. Absolutely. We got to change those twisted, messed up hormone levels. John Balcazar. So I just did a Not Justin approved event this weekend. Long story short, I finished, and even though my body was wrecked, my energy and strength maintained throughout, and I was able to get a great workout in today. Pre-Clovis, recovery would have been at least 7 to 8 days. Exactly, dude. That's the thing. I'm not anti-sport. I'm not anti-event. I work with professional MMA fighters. They do the dumbest thing on planet Earth. If we're thinking about it from a health and wellness perspective, I'm going to go in this cage and let someone try to punch me in the face and break my limbs off of my body. Totally cool, right? No, that's a dumb thing to do, right? But I support it. I love it. I probably would have done it in another life. I think it's fucking awesome. I love MMA, right? There's things that people want to do. They're not the most intelligent thing in the world. You know, events like you did are not the most intelligent thing in the world. The question is, why not give your body every chance possible to handle that thing well? And why would you train like that for the 6 months? I'm going to train as hard as I possibly can. That's like a boxer saying, I'm going to spar 12 hard rounds every single day for 6 months or for the 6 weeks leading up to a fight so I can do this fight. No, it doesn't work that way. There are scientific ways to improve your performance. There are ways to improve your endurance, improve your strength, improve your recovery. All these things, there are ways to do it correctly so that that event is a very small period of time. You can handle that now. You're not dead for 8 days. Nothing worse to me than when people are like, signed up to run my first marathon, then they eat whole grains, and then they run their first marathon and literally can't walk for 8 days, like walking with a cane. I'm like, oh, no, it's very good for your body. Congratulations on this thing you checked off your bucket list. You could have just called me and we could have done this in a better way. It's crazy. What else we got? Diane, no, I've never used sunscreen and I live in Miami. Awesome. I hate sunscreen. I don't use it either. Big scary secret, guys. Justin doesn't use sunscreen. Oh my God. Oh no. Justin's a crazy person. I plan ahead. If I ever come on a boat with you, like I'm going to go on a pontoon for my birthday in 2 weeks, right? I'm going to go on a pontoon. On the pontoon, I'm going to have a backpack with me. And that backpack is going to have a hat. And it's going to have an Under Armour t-shirt. And it's going to have something from a brand called Ex Officio, which is a long sleeve shirt that is a summer shirt that's incredibly mesh and breathable. It is long sleeved and has built-in UV protection. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to wear that. I'm going to go out in the sun. I'm going to swim around. I'm going to grill out. I'm going to have some drinks. I might even lay in the sun and soak up some rays. And then intermittently, I'm going to go under the covered portion of the pontoon and I'm going to throw a t-shirt on. And if my forearms get a little warm, I'm going to throw on the mesh shirt. And I'm just going to be a responsible human, like for the 2.5 million years prior to this that we didn't have sunscreen and everybody was fine. Yeah. The issue is when you lay out on a lounge chair for 3 hours and turn over side by side like you're a freaking piece of bacon. That's the issue, everybody. The issue is not the sun. Okay. Anyway, side rant. Guess what? My skin is allergic to sunscreen. I would argue that everyone's skin is allergic to sunscreen. My dad is actually like you, Ginger. My dad is straight up allergic to sunscreen. Like he will have awful outbreaks if he tries sunscreen. It's really bad. He's the same with most lotions. Some people really, really have problems with that, but I would argue that everybody is. This stuff is not meant to be on your body. It's just not. And if you think it's not getting into your bloodstream, you a crazy person, right? So I am considering digging really deep into sunscreen and adding to the approved products list. If you don't have the approved products list, you can get that ebook on iamclovis.com. I think it's $17 for the approved products list. And I really want to dig into this because there are so many people that just will not leave the house without sunscreen. So it's one of those things. It's like if you have a 14-year-old and you just say, I'm not going to give him condoms because he's not having sex. He's my kid and he's perfect. You're naive, right? So I would be naive to think that people are going to start leaving their house without sunscreen on or going to the beach without sunscreen on. So I want to make sure they're doing it safely. Same way you'd want your kid to be safe. What a terrible metaphor I just used. Simile, what would that be? Analogy? Yeah, I think. But that's really what it is. If people are going to do it, I want to make sure they're doing it safely. So I do want to dig into the sunscreen thing a little bit deeper and poke around. For me personally, I'm fine. I don't know. I was just in Thailand. I've gone to Puerto Rico with no sunscreen. I've gone to Mexico with no sunscreen, on pontoon boats in Tennessee in the middle of the summer, no sunscreen. I seem to do just fine. I've gotten a little toasty and red sometimes. Yeah, sure. But the other thing that's crazy is by the next day, I'm tan. I was never that way growing up. I always used to cake on sunscreen, ate like crap, high carb diet, Mr. Workout in the gym, doing everything the mainstream told me to do. I'd get a bright red sunburn, be burnt for 3 days. My skin would peel. I'm itching. I'm miserable. I can't sleep. That does not happen to me anymore. So I don't know. There's also, this is kind of crazy, and I'm going to poke at this for a second, and then I'm going to move on because I do not have scientific evidence for this. Do not at all. So I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Don't recommend this. But there are people out there claiming that since they've switched to a carnivore diet, they don't get sunburns anymore, and posting some pretty amazing pictures of this kind of N=1 anecdotal evidence of this happening for them, people that were very sensitive to the sun. Also, we do have Shannon Jordan in the group, who is a client of mine now for over a year, who was literally allergic to the sun. They told her, experts told her she was allergic to the sun. You are allergic to the sun. You can't go in the sun. She didn't go in the sun for like 23 years without like a long sleeve shirt and a hat on. Switched to Clovis, goes out in the sun with her family, no problem. Magically, she's not allergic to the sun? No. She was never allergic to the sun to begin with. Something she was putting in her body was causing a response in her body that made her extremely sensitive to the sun's rays. She was weak. She was a weaker human being because of what was going into her body, right? Crazy, guys. This is nuts. This is a woman who like literally didn't go in the sun for 20 years before she found Clovis. That's a true story. So anyway, just wanted to run that by you guys. There, right there, 26 years. 26 years. What? That's insanity, right? So people hear me say things like, hey, there are these carnivore people that are claiming they don't get sunburns anymore. And they're like, that's bullshit. That's crazy. That's blah, 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 blah. We have a more mild case of that, actually worse in my opinion, because Shannon had to suffer for 26 years, right? But I mean, I'm telling you, they will tell you shit like you're allergic to the sun. You're a fucking human. You're a human being. You're not allergic to the sun. You're not, just no. I want to meet this doctor. I can't handle this nonsense, you guys. Just like, we don't have any answers for you. You must be allergic to the sun. What? I don't know. Speechless. I'm speechless for the sun allergies, everybody. It's just crazy, man. Yeah, these stories are nuts. By the way, Shannon, you see all these wows coming up? We got to get you on the podcast. We got to talk about this, okay? By the way, I have 5 more testimony podcasts lined up, and they're freaking jaw-dropping. I cannot wait to put these out for you guys. Just been a little bit swamped, everybody. Life is busy. I know. I complain about it all the time. Justin's always busy. Wah, wah, wah. All right, questions. Let's see. I really like this one. Okay, let's see how long this one goes. This might take the rest of the time because it's really cool. And I'm all worked up about doctors, so why not get worked up a little bit more? Because I read this question and was like, nothing quite gets me like this, except maybe childhood nutrition. That's one that will get me riled up. All right. Question. What are your thoughts on the Blue Zones project, where none of these long-living cultures adhere to a low-carb diet? This topic drives me crazy. I am restraining myself tremendously right now, okay? I want you to understand why this pisses me off so much. First of all, I can't think of anything, any data, any concept that has been more skewed and misinterpreted than this Blue Zone thing, okay? So we're talking about these different people in like the Okinawans in Japan, and there's people in Greece, and there's Sardinia in Italy, there's Costa Ricans, there's even people in California. There's these different blue zones. So what happens in the blue zones is they're saying that these populations have the highest numbers of centenarians. These are people that live to be over 100 years old. I've talked about blue zones a little bit in the past, I think, but I really want to dig into this because of the way this question is worded. Now, to be clear, I just want to say that I am not attacking the person that asked this question. I understand why the person that asked this question is confused, but I am probably going to get pissed here, right? But it's not at this person. It's at this misinformation, this propaganda, and the way that this is worded, right? So person that asked this question, don't take offense to this, but I'm going to read the way you wrote this question again. Let me pull it up. What are your thoughts on the Blue Zones project, where none of these long-living cultures adhere to a low-carb diet? What? This is where it pisses me off, everybody. The average American is eating 300 to 600 grams of processed carbohydrates every day. 300 to 600 grams of carbohydrates every day. Most of that coming from processed carbohydrates. 60+% of that coming from refined carbohydrates. We know this. 60% of the American diet is refined processed carbohydrates. Nobody is doing that in blue zones. Nobody is doing that in blue zones. Nobody is doing that in blue zones. This idea that nobody is adhering to a low-carb diet, what are we talking about? This is crazy. You can say the Okinawans in Japan, sure, they eat white rice. You can say that the people living in Greece and Sardinia or whatever in Italy are eating legumes. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're eating them in moderation. One, they're not eating 300 to 600 grams of refined processed carbohydrates. And it's this issue where we say no one is adhering to a low-carb diet. That's the same as saying that sugar and sweet potatoes are the same. They're not the same, everybody, okay? So it's, yes, do they both get converted into glucose in the body? Yes, they absolutely do. Is one a refined processed carbohydrate and one a whole food? Yes, absolutely. These centenarians are eating whole foods. You can't just say they're not low carb or say that these centenarians are high carbohydrate. That is simply not true. Right? It doesn't tell the whole story. It's the same thing as saying all calories are created equal. They're just not. From a biochemistry standpoint, that is a stupid thing to say, right? This is why I get so upset about the blue zones. Now, let's take it further. Let's just fuck off about the carbohydrate thing, right? Let's forget about that. And let's dig into the fact of what they actually tell people with this blue zones project and what they're talking about with the blue zones. I say this to you guys when I do podcasts like, whose happy are you chasing? Whose dreams are you chasing? Self-growth is painful, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? It's super important that we talk about the actual message of Blue Zones because it's a fantastic message. This is not the fault of the Blue Zones project. This is the fault of Americans trying to get information to fit it into their box so they can keep eating bullshit. That's what this is. They are twisting data so they can keep eating processed bullshit. And it drives me crazy. Let's actually talk about what the Blue Zones say. The Blue Zones tell you things like exercise moderately, basically move every day. They tell you to live a life of purpose, right? Living a life of purpose means doing something for a living that you love, contributing to society, or living a life of service, or doing something like Clovis where you try to change people's lives. Do something that you care about, okay? They also talk about de-stressing. So at least one day a week, or the Sabbath usually, they don't work for 24 hours straight. They tell you to stop eating before you're full. Don't eat till you're stuffed, right? They tell you to eat a lot of plants. Yeah, sure, they do. And people have been doing fine eating plants for quite a long time. I would say eat those plants selectively, but that's just me. They tell you to drink wine, right? And then people think that they can go buy fucking Yellowtail and drink 3 glasses of it a night, right? They also say spend time with like-minded people. They tell you to have strong family bonds, friendships, social networks. Everything they're talking about is lifestyle design. There's one thing: eat plants and stop eating before you're full. Nothing about this is saying eat a high carbohydrate diet. Nothing about this is saying don't adhere to a low carbohydrate diet. Not at all. These are lifestyle principles, everybody. Different cultures live differently than Americans do. I've seen it. Go travel the world, right? Different cultures live differently than Americans do, period. So this idea that centenarians are doing well because of a high carb diet, when the entire concept of Blue Zones is to live a different life than Americans live. That's it. It's lifestyle design. That's what they're telling you. How the hell does this become centenarians have a high carb diet? They miss the entire point. So if I could sum it up my own way, like in Clovis terms, right? Okay, centenarians live to be over 100. Well, you need to eat a high carbohydrate diet like the centenarians, or you need to eat white rice like the Okinawans in Japan, or you need to eat a lot of beans like the people in Greece, and that's how you're going to live to be a centenarian. No, let's sum it up. Don't spend time doing work that you fucking hate. Be super nice to your friends and family, like all the time. That's a good idea. Don't spend too much time alone. Don't be like a ridiculous introvert, right? Take at least 24 hours once per week to de-stress. If we call it de-stressing, I would actually suggest a screen-free day where you go one day a week where you don't even look at a screen, not even your cell phone, all right? Exercise a little bit. How about going for a daily walk? That just about covers it. You guys know this when you come to me and I help you lose a bunch of weight by doing nothing but walking and eating right. Don't stuff your face until you can't move, and don't eat processed foods. Eat whole foods. We just spelled out Clovis. Why do you guys think I talk to you so much about passion and fulfillment and happiness? I'm spelling out Clovis for you guys, right? They entirely miss the fact that whole foods in traditional cultures, it's a whole different piece. Yes, they're eating whole foods, but in traditional cultures, these things are handled completely differently. Do they eat beans? Yes, they soak them overnight and they boil them at very high heats. The Italians, do they eat tomatoes and tomato sauce? Yes, they boil them, de-seed them, peel them, boil them at very high heats and mash the crap out of them. Okinawans in Japan, do they eat rice? Yes. Why do Americans insist on eating white rice? You're not going to catch Okinawans eating brown rice. They're not going to do it. They're eating traditional foods and preparing them through traditional methods. We can't compare this to America. You can't just say the centenarians are doing this, let's bring this to America. It doesn't work that way, everybody. And we know this to be true. Why? Because I was just in Thailand and they put sugar and carbohydrates in everything. They put sugar and refined processed carbohydrates in everything. They dump white sugar in there. They're now adopting things like brown rice in sushi restaurants. Brown rice is a Western thing. Now you got sushi restaurants offering brown rice, more refined processed carbohydrate. It's insanity, right? And they're also using hydrogenated vegetable oils, which they've never used in the history of their cultures. They're using hydrogenated vegetable oils, refined processed carbohydrates, and all of a sudden you have places like Japan and China where the obesity epidemic is arguably worse than in America in a shorter period of time. Diabetes is running rampant in these countries as the Western diet comes in. Running rampant. So don't miss the entire point of the blue zones. Don't miss the entire point. The primary message here is that virtually everything about American culture points in the opposite direction of longevity. If you live the standard American culture, including jobs, relationships, marriages, parenting, finances, all of it, if you live that American life, you will die. It's just true. You will die at a younger age. We're talking stressful jobs, lack of family connection, lack of community, relatives literally hate each other, insanely high divorce rates, absurd amounts of screen time every day between phones and TVs, fast food, processed junk on every corner, mocha choca caramel bullshit, coffee lattes each and every morning, horrible sleep quality, high beer consumption, high sugary wine, alcohol consumptions. Go to downtown Nashville, Broadway. You will see 100,000 stupid drunk people every single night. This is American culture, everybody. Like, what are we talking about here? It's nuts. So is the sticking point of blue zones really high carb versus low carb? Absolutely not. So my blood kind of boils when we talk about this stuff, everybody. I'm sorry. This blue zone thing, it's just lunacy. It's lunacy. So if I'm sorry, I know I'm ranting like crazy here, but here's the thing. If you were to do the following, you'd probably live to be over 100. Move to a different country, one that matches your ancestry, preferably where your ancestors come from, so you can get local food that's in line with your genetics. Get a job that you absolutely love, that is also your passion, that you don't mind working at every day. And by the way, you're probably not going to retire because other cultures don't even have words in their language for retire. It doesn't translate. They don't know what it is. Start a family that you spend most of your time with and you adore. Make a ton of friends who are like-minded. They have the same cultural beliefs and practices that you do. Share many meals with them. Drink only biodynamic wine made locally from old world wineries like Dry Farm Wines, right? Get that. Sip on that. Exercise every day. Go for a walk. Only eat the local Whole Foods. That's it. Do all those things, and you're probably going to be a centenarian. Live the standard American lifestyle, or say things like the Okinawans in Japan ate a high-carb diet. I'm going to eat a bunch of rice, and I'm going to live to be 100. No, you're not. Good luck with that. So the centenarian piece, I feel really bad because the person that asked this question, I'm sorry, I'm not ranting at you. I promise I'm not. It's just this is a big problem. I see it all the time. Anytime I hear somebody talking about blue zones, they're usually trying to put something like paleo or keto down. That's usually what they're trying to do. Well, why are you low carb paleo when we have all these centenarians that are high carb? I hear this all the time. I've had this argument thrown at me a million times. And I'm like, this person is such a small thinker. They're thinking so myopically. It's ridiculous. And it's not by accident. They're usually doing it on purpose. They're cherry picking data. So they can say like, people eat high carb and live a long time. How is that working out for America? Like, if people are so convinced that a high carb diet is awesome, why do we have an 85+% obesity rate? Over 85% of Americans are obese and overweight. What are we talking about? There is no way you can argue this anymore. You are simply on the wrong side of history. That's it. You are on the wrong side of history, period. It's crazy. What else we got? Mike, I think you're thinking of blue states. That's different, man. Yeah, it's crazy. What else we got? John, #triggered. That one gets me quite a bit. Yeah, it bothers me. It's nuts. Anyway, Chris, I've seen posts that try to say that the blue zones prove we should be vegans. Not sure where they get. That's hilarious. And yes, I have seen this as well. And it would only ever be posted by a stupid person. That's my response to that one. Sorry. What else we got? Donna, hey, tribe, it's been a hot minute, but I've started running again thanks to Clovis and Justin. In doing so, my knee started hurting pretty bad. So how would y'all heal an old injury? That is a huge loaded question, and I'd have to ask you a lot more questions, Donna, because it's been a hot minute. So I don't know where you're at. I don't know where you're at nutritionally, anything like that. There's, inflammation things at play. There's all sorts of things we can talk about. That'd be a much deeper thing. Nina, love this rant. Yes, thank you. That might have been a good one. We'll chop it up and put it on the Instagrams, and everybody will give me likes. Yeah. Except the blue zone people and the vegan propagandists. Shannon, when America eliminated high fructose corn syrup, the market moved to Asia. Yeah, 100%. It's not just high fructose corn syrup. It's everything. They're pushing everything to Asian markets. Asian markets, like I said, hydrogenated soybean oils, all these different hydrogenated vegetable oils are getting pushed out there. Mexico, they're going door to door in Mexico handing out candy. That's not a joke, everybody. You can look up videos of this. Companies like Nestle are going door to door handing out free candy. What? I kid you not. Free candy. Never heard of a blue zone. Yes, blue zones are just, there were 5 of them off the bat. It was 5 different blue zones. The ones that I named, it was Greece, Italy. I can't remember the names, like I can't remember. I know the Okinawans in Japan. There's even people in California that were part of the blue zones. There's 5 blue zones. There's Greece, Italy, Costa Rica, California, and Japan. I can't remember the names of the cities, but the blue zones are just the places with the highest populations of centenarians, people that live to be over 100 years old. So obviously they try to study those people and say, you know, why are they living to be 100? But it's 99.999% of this is cultural. Because the other thing they won't tell you is a lot of those people smoke cigarettes, everybody. Ding, 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 ding. A lot of those people smoke cigarettes, everybody. A lot of those people smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol every day. Am I telling you to do that? Hell no. But that is how stupid it is to extrapolate one single piece of data and decide that you're going to run your life on it. Try going and having 3 glasses of wine and smoking a few cigarettes every day while also living in America and eating an American diet and working a job that you hate with a significant other that you don't particularly get along with while you spend 5 hours a day on Instagram. Good luck. It's not going to work out well. That's what we have to understand, guys. We miss the big picture all the time. They just completely miss the big picture. It's ridiculous. Nina Meadows, 54% of children in the U.S. have chronic disease. Correct. It's awful. Tennessee is actually the worst state, the one that I live in. Tennessee is the worst state in the nation for obesity among children, 37% obesity. That's 30 pounds or more overweight, 37% of kids. What? Absolutely insane. Staggering. So that's where we're at. What a bummer way to end an AMA, everybody. I mean, the thing to remember here is I'm actually quite a fan of most of what the Blue Zone teaches, right? This Blue Zones project is a great idea. It's all about community and de-stressing and not working jobs that you hate and not staring at your screen all damn day. Those are great things to do. They're also Clovis, everybody. What is Clovis? If you guys are just listening to AMAs and you haven't gone and listened to my Just Justin episodes on the Clovis Culture podcast, I don't know what to tell you. You need to go listen to those Just Justin episodes. I have been through this, you guys. 17 years ago, I started caring about nutrition and wellness. And it's been a hell of a journey. The only reason Clovis exists is because of that journey. Trust me, I've looked into this stuff. It's just, you have to figure, I chased fame and fortune for 15 years thinking that I wanted it. Turns out, whoops, I don't want that, right? Now, I had extraordinary experiences because of that. And I will tell you, I've never worked for anybody else. I've always been a serial entrepreneur. I've never worked in a cubicle. I don't know what that is. And I am far happier than most 32-year-olds that I've met. Trust me, the amount of 32-year-olds that I know on antidepressants is staggering. The amount of 40-year-olds I know on antidepressants is through the damn roof. I'm telling you, you guys, this is not a matter of, you know, the person that asked this question is probably worried about aesthetics. How do I get shredded? The Okinawans eat rice. What are we talking about here? It's just, you miss the entire picture of what life is supposed to be. How many people here in Clovis have quit their job since I started doing Just Justin episodes? How many people have started their own companies since I started doing Just Justin episodes? How many people have left asshole significant others since I started doing Just Justin episodes? I know the numbers. They're high. I get the emails every day, right? That's what this is all about, everybody. Your fat loss, your physique goals, all that stuff, blah, 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 right? It's icing on the cake, but you really need to worry about your life. That's what the Blue Zones teaches. So I want to be clear. I am not ranting against the Blue Zones. I am ranting at the way Americans cherry pick data from the Blue Zones and try to tell everybody to live this imaginary life that they're making up. It's ridiculous. So anyway, you should probably live by some of the Blue Zone principles or just follow Clovis. That's it, right? Podcasts are on your Clovis site. I just hear the AMAs. Mike, podcasts are on podcast platforms, bro. They're on the, iTunes podcast or Overcast or Spotify or Stitcher or I Anchor FM or just any Google Play. They're everywhere. The Clovis Culture Podcast is everywhere. You can search my name. You can search Justin Nault. You can search Clovis. You can search Clovis Culture. It'll pop up. You got to subscribe to those podcasts. I think that they're life-changing. I know that they're life-changing. I watch it change people's lives. I watch it happen, So the Clovis Culture Podcast, check that out 100%. And also the show notes are at clovis.show. That's not the same as the store. The store is iamclovis.com. That's where you go for your paleo powder. But the show notes and all the podcast episodes live at clovis.show. So you got to subscribe. The same thing I've told you guys over and over and over. If you leave me an iTunes review for the podcast, I will send you free samples of Perfect Paleo Powder. No shipping charges, no nothing, free of charge. You get free paleo powder. Just leave me an iTunes review on the podcast. The podcast is the easiest way to just have me in your car, have me on your Alexa while you're cooking, have me on your phone with some AirPods in, walking down the street, whatever, listening to Just Justin episodes, listening to all my interviews, all these AMAs. This AMA is a video here. It will be a podcast tomorrow. It will be on the Clovis Culture Podcast tomorrow, and you can listen to it as audio. It's far more convenient for multitasking. You can listen when you're in the gym. Yeah, you can listen on Spotify, all that stuff. It's fantastic. Ginger, I'm 64 years old and so glad my daughter-in-law turned me on to Clovis. I am glad your daughter-in-law turned you on to Clovis. That's amazing. And just to give you an example, Papa Nault, who's quite famous in the Clovis community, is my dad. That's Charlie Nault. He's just turned 60 years old and is in the best shape of his life. I've been in charge of his fitness and nutrition for 4 years now. And what I say about my dad is he's the single best client I've ever had because this sounds pretentious, but he does everything I tell him to do without questioning me, no questions asked. He just does it. And he's amazing now. He's 60 years old. He has ab muscles and giant pecs, and he deadlifts 350 pounds. He's a monster. Absolute savage, healthier than he's ever been. His blood work is perfect. My friends came in from out of town. They haven't seen my dad in probably 8 years. Literally haven't seen my dad in probably 8 years. And they were like, his skin is amazing. It's amazing. They were like, if he didn't have gray hair, we would not know he's 60. His skin is perfect. I wish dad was in this live video right now because he'd be like, this is awkward. Because I always talk about him. I always talk about his physique and his skin and his chiseled abs. But it's true. He's in the best shape he's ever been in. 60 years old. It is not too late to do this stuff. It is never too late to do this stuff. Never, never, never. Get into it now and live a longer, happier life for sure. Oh, yeah. Nika replying to Nina. Yes, that's 100% true. The number is somewhere in between. If we'd be accurate about chronic disease in children, it's somewhere between 25 and 60%. For sure. It's insane. It's absolutely staggering. Children are the only reason why I'm dealing with adults, I'm telling you, because childhood nutrition is my whole heart. The only reason I'm dealing with adults is because adults are in charge of what goes in kids' mouths. I have to start with the adults. I can't go to the 6-year-olds and tell them how to eat. If I could, I would. But it's up to the parents. And I've tried with parents and it doesn't go well. And it drives me crazy. It makes me so mad that I have to step away from that work. Because kids are dying, everybody. We're talking about genocide right now. The food pyramid, my plate, whatever you want to call it, new fancy term that's the same bullshit that's been recycled since the 1970s, is killing children. Straight up. Killing kids. It's sickening. Tennessee, 37% of kids overweight. Somewhere between, it's got to be over 30%, easily between 30 to 60% of kids have a chronic disease. At least one chronic disease. That doesn't even count the kids it counts the kids that have two, but there are many kids in this country that have multiple chronic diseases and are on multiple pharmaceutical medications. We have 7-year-olds walking around on birth control because their hormones are so whacked that they're getting their periods at 7 years old. What are we doing, everybody? I can't get on the rabbit hole of childhood nutrition at 9:07 p.m. I will lose my mind. John, have you come across any real research that leads you to believe constant use of Bluetooth devices being unhealthy? It's funny you say that because I have a guy that's probably going to come on the podcast and talk about this who knows a lot more than I do. The question is, there is real data that shows it may be problematic. Yes, absolutely that data exists. How problematic, we don't know, but I would argue that it's probably going to show that it's not harmless down the line. But the question is, we don't have the data. This stuff is new. Technology moves at the speed of sound, everybody. So it is not accurate to say, we know that Bluetooth is safe. It is not accurate to say, we know that Bluetooth is cooking our brains and causing brain cancer. It's the same thing as like the vaccines and autism. You can't just jump from one extreme to the other and just say that's the way it is. That's not how this goes. We don't have the data. We don't have the data for Bluetooth. We don't have the data for 3G, 4G, 5G. There's arguments now that 5G literally changes the molecular structure of your freaking DNA. It's supposed to be incredibly powerful, right? But I'm supposed to get this guy on the podcast to talk about it. So we'll go deeper into that because I'm definitely not an expert. What else we got? Ginger, down 19 pounds and 8 inches overall in 2 months. Bam. We can just sign off right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's AMA number 72. Down 19 pounds, 8 inches overall in 2 months. That's amazing, Ginger. Congratulations. We'll keep going as long as you want to go. We can go down this rabbit hole forever. And like I said, it does not stop with your fat loss and your inches. We can talk about your entire life, your entire philosophy of life. We can change that whole thing. What else we got? Food and pharmacies. The world has to change for the next generation. 100%. Yeah, it's staggering. It's so crazy. Nico, we're in a Facebook Live, so I can't really share direct data with you right now, but I mean, just go to PubMed. Go to PubMed.com and look up childhood obesity. There you go. Or Google Scholar and look up childhood obesity, or Google childhood obesity rates, or look up childhood chronic disease or chronic disease in American children, and is not hard to find. This stuff is out there. It's wide open. It's not a secret. John, proud parent moment. Took our little angel to her first ever dentist visit. They were blown away how white and perfect her teeth and gums were. That's not by accident. Her consumption of sugars, processed foods, etc. is virtually non-existent. We live Clovis. She lives Clovis. Boom. Absolutely. Just so you guys know, in the absence of carbohydrates, you can't get cavities. What? Mind-blowing, right? I've talked about this. These Moontan streptococci, it's a particular type of bacteria that lives in the mouth in an acidic environment, and literally the glucose feeds these bacteria. The bacteria excrete lactic acid. The lactic acid burns away at the enamel of your teeth, get through the enamel of your teeth. Boom, you have cavities. Glucose, sugar, refined carbohydrates. It is responsible for cavities. Instead, we just tell kids, keep eating candy and just brush your teeth after. Ridiculous, right? I also have holistic dentists that are booked on the show for next week. That episode is happening next week. So I'm going to record it next week. It'll probably release the week after. So you will have a full, probably 90-minute interview with me and holistic dentists talking about all this stuff because it's mind-blowing. All right. What's up, Steve? How you doing, man? No problem. You can be late. It's cool. You can watch this thing whenever you want, or listen to the Clovis Culture Podcast. Get on your favorite podcast platform and look up the Clovis Culture Podcast, or just go to clovis.show. Also, the homepage of clovis.show. So, Mike, if you're wondering where to get podcasts, go to clovis.show and then scroll down, and it'll show the top 10 major platforms, and just click the little icon. It will take you to that particular host of a podcast. So whatever podcast app you're using on your phone, there's a link to it on clovis.show on every major platform it's available on. There's 10 different platforms. So you can find this thing easy. So go subscribe, go subscribe to the Clovis Culture Podcast and leave me an iTunes review, and I will send you a free sample of the Perfect Paleo Powder. All you have to do is leave the iTunes review, screenshot it, send it to me at justin@iamclovis.com. justin@iamclovis.com. So leave me a podcast review, send me that stuff. I'll send you some free samples. It'll be awesome. I hope this helped you guys. We talked about blue zones. We talked about vitamin D. We talked about Rembo body composition scales. We talked about eating the same foods over and over and over, which I highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Nault. This is AMA number 72. Doesn't look like we have much new stuff coming on. So, yeah, if you don't have any questions, we'll duck off here. It's 9:12. Let's wrap this one up. AMA number 72. This will be on the Clovis Culture Podcast tomorrow. So click the happy button, click the love button, click the smiley face, sad face, mad face, whatever emotions this podcast made you feel, just click the buttons, make it come up. The engagement really helps to get more people to see these videos. Tag your friends in this video if they need to see it. Click the share button, spit it on your pages. Mike, thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the questions. It's awesome. And thank you for bringing up the podcast. Helps me spitball this stuff and get it out. Let people who don't know there is a podcast go to clovis.show and subscribe, get it on your phone. You will get a notification on your smartphone when I release a new episode. Go listen to the Just Justin podcast. Listen to Whose Happy Are You Chasing? Whose Dreams Are You Chasing? Listen to Self-Growth is Painful. Listen to My Happy, Not Yours. Listen, these are all names of Just Justin episodes. You've got to go listen to these Just Justin episodes if you really want to dig into the philosophy of Clovis, why I built this company. That's why I did this. I didn't lose it so you can lose a little bit of, I didn't build this so you can lose a little bit of belly fat. I built this so you can change your entire life and build a life that you are passionate about, that has you fulfilled and happy. That's what I'm trying to do. Change people's lives for the better. Awesome episode. John, thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm Justin. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow in the Facebook groups. And everybody have a good night. Turn off your screens. Get rid of the blue lights. Get them out of your face. Get some sleep. I'm going to jump in the sauna, take a cold shower, and then I'm going to put my butt to sleep as well because it's been a long day. Also, follow me on Instagram at Justin Nault, JustinNault. Follow me at Justin Nault. I'm about to post some more fun stories and pictures from the music video shoot that I did today. Again, big, giant production music video shoot. Pretty cool stuff. So go check it out on my Instagram. All right, guys. I love you. Good night. Bye.